February 19. 198. Decius Claudius Albinus, a Roman who assumed the imperial purple in opposition to Severus, was slain in battle on the river Rhone. 1401. William Sautre, an English clergyman, was burned for heresy by the clergy, with the permission of Henry IV. This is said to have been the first execution in England on account of religion. Timperley says March 10. 1549. A bill passed the English Parliament allowing clergymen to marry, on the ground that it was a less evil than compulsory chastity. 1553. Erasmus Reinhold died, an eminent German astronomer and mathematician, and professor at Wittemberg. 1567. Miles Coverdale, Bishop of Exeter, buried. He was ejected from his see by Queen Mary, and thrown into a prison, from which he was liberated by Elizabeth. He assisted Tindal in the English version of the Bible, 1537. 1592. Edward Coke chosen Speaker of Parliament. 1597. Thomas Bentham, an English bishop, died, celebrated for his knowledge of the Chaldee and Hebrew tongues. 1619. Lucilio Vanini, a learned Italian, burned. He early devoted himself with ardor to letters, studying philosophy, law, theology and astrology, at Rome and Padua. He traveled throughout every country of Europe, occupying himself with instruction. But wherever he appeared, he became obnoxious to suspicion on account of his religious views. In 1617 he went to Toulouse, where he was accused of atheism and sorcery, and condemned to the flames. He was drawn to the place of execution, when after his tongue was torn out, he was strangled, and burned at the age of 34. His punishment appears to have been entirely undeserved, and has given him more celebrity than his writings. 1622. Henry Saville died, a learned English divine, historian and critic. Greek tutor to Queen Elizabeth. 1638. Insurrection of the Edinburgh Presbyterians, who threw off their allegiance, and entered into a covenant or association against the government, which they compelled all people to subscribe. Several Scotch bishops were forced to fly to England. 1644. The Scots, consisting of 18,000 foot, 2,000 horse, and above 500 dragoons, passed the Tweed at Berwick in behalf of the Parliament. 1671. Charles Chauncey, president of Harvard College, died, aged 80. He was a nonconformist divine, who emigrated to America. A learned and venerated man. 1697. Francis Bernard, an English physician, died, eminent for his learning, and his valuable collection of books. 1717. Peter Anthony Matthews, died in London on his birthday, supposed to have been murdered. He was a French refugee, settled in England, where he became an eminent dramatic writer, and translated Don Quixote. 1734. Battle of Gostala between the French and the Imperialists under Count Koenigsegg, the latter of whom were defeated with the loss of 5,000 men including the Prince of Wittenberg. 1743. La Guerra, in South America, attacked by the British under Knowles. He captured one ship, and blew up a magazine, but did not succeed in his principal object, which was the total destruction of the shipping. Spanish loss 700. 1767. Francis Boissier de Sauvages, a French physician and botanist, died. His reputation was so great that he was called the Bear Hive of Languedoc. 1778. Captain James Willing took possession of Natchez in the name of the U.S. 1788. Thomas Cushing, of Massachusetts died. He was early engaged in political life, and in 1763 appointed Speaker of the Council where, by his moderate and conciliatory conduct he was enabled to effect a great deal of good as a mediator between the contending parties. On the breaking out of disturbances he was sent to the First Congress, and continued to fill some office till his death, when he was lieutenant governor. 1790. Marquis de Favre was executed. His judges were intimidated by the mob shouting during the trial, "A la lanterne." 1792. Matthew Tate died at Auchinleck, aged 123. 1793. Liouts. Gibbs and Mountesey with 21 men of the Lowestoft frigate seized the Tower of Martelli in Corsica, and hoisted the British flag for the first time in that island. 1794. French frigate La Fortune burned to prevent her falling into the hands of Lord Hood. 1797. James Dodsley, the renowned and rich London bookseller, died. He sold 18,000 copies of Burke's Reflections on the French Revolution. 1798. The Irish Rebellion, as the discontents were called, commenced. 1799. Jean-Charles Bourda, a French mathematician, died. He made many improvements in hydraulics, and his experiments for the advancement of science were numerous and successful. 1801. Action off Gibraltar between the British frigate Phoebe 36 guns, and the French frigate L'Africaine, 44 guns and 715 men, and 143 wounded, and was captured. British loss 1 killed and 12 wounded. 1802. Nicolas Joseph Salis, a distinguished French poet, died. 1806. Elizabeth Carter, an English poetess, died, aged 89. She acquired 9 foreign languages, but the reputation of this learned lady was established by a complete translation from the Greek of the works of Epictetus, with notes. 1807. Admiral Duckworth, with 8 ships of the line and 4 frigates, together with fireships and gunboats, effected the daring pass of the Dardanelles without loss, and appeared before Constantinople, which until then had never seen an enemy's fleet. The Turks fired stone shot from their batteries upon the fleet, some of them weighing upwards of 800 pounds. The Turkish squadron, consisting of a 64-gun ship, 4 frigates, 3 corvettes, a brig and 2 gunboats, were burned. 1811. Duke of Albuquerque, ambassador to England from the Regency of Spain, died at London. 1816. W.M. Rees died in Dublin District, Maryland, aged 108. 1816. A bridge of wire, 400 feet in length, for foot passengers having been constructed over the Schuylkill, was passed for the first time. 1821. Florida ceded to the United States by Spain. 1837. Thomas Burgess, Bishop of Salisbury, died. He was the son of a grocer, and rose by his own merits. He was a man of extensive learning, and a voluminous author. Was instrumental in founding the Royal Society of Literature, and St. David's College founded by him for the education of Welsh ministers, is an enduring monument of his benevolence. To this institution, he bequeathed the whole of his extensive library. 1843. Michael J. Quinn, well known to general readers as the author of A Visit to Spain, etc., died at Boulogne-sur-Mer, France. 1844. Gilbert, a servant of Washington at the Great Battle of the Monongahela, died at Stanton, Virginia, aged 112. Of Cornwallis, and was accustomed on holidays to appear in regimentals during his life, to the great edification of the boys. 1852. William Ware, an eminent Unitarian scholar and divine, died at Cambridge, Massachusetts, aged 54. 1856. The ship John Rutledge from Liverpool to New York encountered an iceberg and sunk. Of 5 boats which left the ship, only one was picked up, with but one living man on board, the survivor of 13 who had died one by one of cold and starvation.